I'm trying to get into real estate.
Okay.
Um, my mom's a pretty big agent, and so I'm kind of, she's kind of influencing some stuff, and I'm kind of trying to do some kind of my own thing. I'm just trying to go where I can make money, and I'm hearing that's in the short term rental business.
Okay.
So
So
I
you're
just wanted to
like
kind of know.
STR?
I yeah, I think that's at least to start with, just because I'm hearing that's kind of that produces the better cash flow. Um, and then potentially just eventually once I have enough properties, maybe do just long term. But um, just what are your kind of thoughts and like just what's the best way to just ensure like to really get the ball rolling at first, like in the right direction and what you kind of need to do.
Do you own a home yourself?
I own a home, yeah.
Why don't you rent that out?
That's what I'm considering. So like
Yeah,
I
like
was thinking,
do the thing you want to do before it costs you any money. And you may find that you really don't like it that much. Because you're running like a high-end, high touch, bougie hotel, right? Hotels, you wouldn't want your worst enemy to have to run a hotel for a living, right? And so it's not for everybody. They're going to ask you same old dumb questions. They're going to do the same old dumb shit. They're going to disrespect your stuff. You're going to make good money, and that balances out the scales, hopefully. Let's say you just renting out one of your rooms for $100 a night, and you rent it 20 nights a month, and that pays your mortgage and then some. Like if this is for you, you think, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. And if this is not for you, you think, I don't care if I rent it for $300 a night, I'm not doing it
yeah.
ever.
Well, I'm
So you
more
don't have to
like I
buy a
told.
whole ass house and then find that out later.
I mean, I was thinking if it wasn't working, I just would sell the home or turn the home into a long term rental. So I feel
Well,
like
that's
just getting,
true, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't disagree with like I think you could do it however you want, but like I always teach, okay, if you're gonna do it, just do it basically as like low-hanging fruit model as possible.
like,
Meaning
what do you
I
mean?
already got me a house. I'm gonna rent my spare rooms. I'm gonna see if I like it. And then from there, you're like, okay, I learned like some tools here. I learned how to get people to clean it. There's probably a tool for that. There's probably a whole website for strictly
Yeah,
SEO
there's like an
type deal.
automated cleaning like website for it and everything.
Right. How do you sync your schedules between the two or three different or 20 different types of short-term rental places? Um, yeah, like what do your neighbors start thinking you're selling drugs as people are like new people are over every day? Or are they hating, you know what I mean? You're gonna run into like 90% of the problems you're gonna run into before you invest in an entire ass house. But um if you're like, yeah, I'm good, I know I want to do this, I would say your next house would be um I always try to flip something that I wouldn't mind keeping. It'd be hard to do that with a house, but everyone wants a better house than they currently have. At least most people do. And so I would look for the best deal possible on your next house. And if for
Yeah.
some reason you don't get a good enough deal and you don't like this, you could sell it. Maybe you could fix up, polish up the house you're currently in and then keep that house. And that will remove most of the fear behind wanting to do it or not wanting to do it. I mean, how long have you had this idea like in your head that you want to do this?
Well, I've always like so like yeah, like my parents are like more the traditional old school way where like you buy a house, wait every 2 years, buy another one.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's I mean, that's all it's not saying that's not all in dandy. It's just that the cash flow isn't anywhere close to what it is on like short term rentals if like you know what you're doing and like you have a standout property. Um,
yeah,
and so I'm wanting to invest in that, get some cash flow coming in, and then once I do that, go get a more home that I'm, kind of an upgrade from where I am now that I could live in, and then
yeah.
but I want to just get some good cash flow and a couple properties underneath my belt first
Right.
before I do that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um,
So
I
I
had
can
my
almost
brother.
use my profits to afford that net, like better home, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Um, my brother is an investor, and I'm kicking myself because I forgot to record our call that we did. I had him on a few months back, and what he did is cool for what this is worth is he became a realtor, an investor, and a contractor. So he's like completely vertically integrated all the way up, all the way down. And so, for example, he had several friends and friends of friends where he sold their house for them and he helped them buy a new house. That's two commissions. But he also helped them fix up the old house to get it ready to sell, and he helped them renovate the new house when they were done. And and then if he finds a house and he's like, I don't have enough cash, I don't have enough investors, well, I'm going to pitch this to other investors, and then I'm going to teach investors how to flip so I can sell them houses. So he just totally like he has like so many angles. And that's every I mean that's every business, right? Like you can do short-term rentals, you can do long-term rentals, you can do flips, you can do wholesales. I mean, I did a land wholesale a couple of years ago and it was surprisingly easy. That's a good way to like dip your toes in without actually putting your ass on the
Yeah, I
line.
mean, I want to try. I'm not 100% buying like everything about short. I know it works. I want to give it a shot, and then I'll try the other models if it's not the best. But
Yeah,
if you know what you're doing and your property has the amenities of what the top performing properties are in the area, it can
yeah,
absolutely be profitable,
yep,
very profitable. And
yep,
so I mean, I know it comes with its Airbnb kind of gets a bad rap, but a lot of it's overblown, and
yeah.
I just know it works. I just know it does.
Well, man,
And
I've
I
been
know
doing
there's
paid, I've
I
been
know
doing
there's a
paid
market
coaching
for it.
for 4 years now, and the only like contrary to what most people think, most people don't succeed when I teach them because they thought it sounded good before they paid me, and the truth is they don't want they this is not what they should be doing with their life. It's kind of like it's that simple. Um, I can hand them the keys to the kingdom, and they just they should be doing something else. Whatever that model is, this one's not it. Um, all right. I have a guest on today,
Yep.
and we're not talking real estate flips this time. We're talking more anything from electronics to Daniel, you told me you've done cars, UTVs. You told me that you've done one other thing that stuck in my head. Oh, golf carts. You done golf carts?
Yep. Golf carts. I've
Oh,
done
man.
watches, pretty much anything, Jeff. And I mean, I've always had this mentality and this mindset since I was young, actually, since I was like a teenager,
Yeah.
about to be 30 now. And I just remember, when Craigslist, it was like it was brand new and everybody was using it, before Marketplace was big and all that stuff. And when I
Yeah.
was 13 years old, 14, I would go online and just see what was out there, like we all do now, and I would just look at something that if I found a good deal on something, haggle on it,
Yeah.
and I would see what it's selling for and just resell. And if you know enough about an item, you learn about it, you know what you're looking at, and you know who you're selling to, you know
Right.
how quick it'll sell, you get your information on what it is, you know what to pay, you know what you're going to sell it for, you know the turnaround time, and you know the work, you kind of figure out the risk, you mitigate the risk by knowing worst case scenario. And of course,
Right.
in the electronics business, we're blessed to have a huge network now, and it wasn't like that when I first got started, where
Right.
you say, oh well, worst case, I'll wholesale this to Dan, I'll wholesale this to Jeff for this price, I'm not going to lose on this. And I
Yeah, you got a locked in like price floor, which is
exactly,
freaking awesome. And all this other stuff I'm flipping, yeah, that didn't exist. Golf carts, there's no I mean, I guess you could sell it to a dealer, but they're gonna try to get you for as low as they can. Like that won't work.
of course, and that's the thing, and it's it's always risk, buying and selling anything, doing anything on your own is a risk.
Yeah.
Like your
Yeah.
brother with real estate, and that's kind of what I'm getting into now. I just started my contracting company, so I own this
Well,
is my,
maybe we are doing real estate today, huh?
well, not to get into it too much, but like I own Complete Wireless Solutions, right? I started that when I
Yeah.
was 20, yeah, 20. So about 9 years now, and I started Complete Wireless. I just started Complete Contracting Solutions because my intention there is, for one, I just moved down to uh, a resort area. Oh, sure.
Hold on. Do you need this? Yeah. No, that's fine. Okay, yeah. Let's do that. One sec.
Sure.
That's all right. I wasn't gonna be here, but they're installing a full house generator.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good.
Can you list these? Or are you busy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get, yeah.
Wait. All right. All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, then no problem, man. I get it. I'm hoping my dog doesn't start barking. I know he will at some point when USPS, UPS, FedEx comes. But anyway, no, man. I'm like, I just started a contracting company, so I got Complete Wireless Solutions, which I've owned for 9 years now, and buying and selling and repairing
Do you have your own
electronics.
store?
I did when I lived in Maryland. What part of the country you guys?
I'm in Louisiana. Let's see. We got Florida, California, man, everywhere really.
Okay.
So
Well,
all these things work different. Like phones, especially, is a different ballgame depending on, simply put, like how rich your city is.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. There's a huge impact. And so I lived in Maryland, close to Baltimore. I lived in like a suburban, more in the county, but about 20-30 minutes outside of Baltimore. And being in that area too, I was close enough to New York, close enough to Philly, to where, I did have a huge market there in Maryland. But and DC as well. But I ended up moving down to lower Delaware. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with like Rehoboth Beach, Ocean City, Maryland. No, it's more of a
I'm
resort
spending
town.
time up in Northeast, like very brief, very brief stints in like New York City, like everybody else. But
Yeah. Well, I moved to like a resort area, place that I've always wanted to live.
yeah.
My parents had a little beach house here since I was a baby, and we love it here. It's a much calmer, more peaceful way of life. But I just had to figure, and I tried to move here when I was 21 years old. My kids were just babies, and I found myself driving to Maryland. It's about a 2.5 hour commute. I found myself driving to Maryland nonstop to meet clients, and I even had guys working for me, doing my deals for me. But it's
Okay.
in a week's time to, how electronics are, to stack up $30,000 worth of stuff. It's nothing. Could take 3 or 4 days, and if you're busy. So I was driving to Maryland just to see my employees and my bigger clients and stuff, and it was killing me. I was doing 5 hour a day commutes 3-4 times a week. So I ended up moving back to Maryland for the money aspect of it, and stayed there from 2016 up until 2022. Went back, uh, kind of really implemented more so hiring more people. I opened my own store and partnered with a lot of other stores and had a team of people to help me out. As you know, I follow some of your stuff, Jeff. I see you on Facebook, and um,
Yep.
the value of a team, right? And it's
Yeah.
hard to trust people and have a team when you're in the business of buying and selling any, products. It's one thing like with real estate, right? You get like, I just started the contracting company. I'm going to have a great group of contractors, which we desperately need down here. The resort areas, you'll find, at least definitely on the Northeast, at least, or the East Coast, people don't want to work. They want to relax. I don't know if it's the salt water. I don't know if it's just the
Yeah.
party vibe and scene. They don't want to work. So contractors don't show up. So there's a need for it. I'll make money that
Dang, yeah, you'd
way.
almost have to like pay a little bit more and import people or something.
Exactly. That's exactly. You got to import people from like Baltimore. I'm like, man, like even myself, before I had the idea to and actually started my contracting company just to get work done in my house. I'm like, guys would actually come here, give me the quote, and I'd say, cool. No, not even negotiate. That's hard for guys like us to not to just pay asking, right? They actually, I have some tools still at my house where guys showed up, started a project, and just never came back. Just unreliable, wanting to,
Didn't even get paid, didn't get their tools back.
nothing. Just don't show up. So that's why I'm like, I'll bring the guys from my hometown, guys that are not married, that aren't tied down, that, you know what I mean, that own their own business. So essentially a
Yeah.
lot of subcontractors essentially.
Right.
And people will pay whatever price, because there's a lot of retired people here. It's a lot of stuff like that. And
Yeah.
we'll pay the premium. And if I can make profit that way, fantastic. Not what I rely on. It's not my, it's not going to make or break me how much I make with the contracting company.
Right.
But similar to your brother, the idea of that is to develop a good system, a good group of guys, figure out the contractors I like, the contractors I don't, and ultimately get into flipping properties.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's, that's my mindset there. But, with individual niches, I mean, it depends on your area and your demographic. Down here, I have a good buddy of mine also from Maryland. Again, only about a 2.5 hour commute, right? It's the closest beach to my hometown in Baltimore, we'll call it.
Yeah.
He would buy Jeeps. Jeeps down here are big. Everybody loves Jeeps. You're like down here, like kind of in a peninsula. It's a huge, you go to the beach, they got drive-on beaches. You're at the beach. You want to drive with the doors and the top off, right? So he would go and buy these piece of shit Jeeps from Baltimore and surrounding areas in Pennsylvania and in the country. People that are selling these things for like 2, 3, 4 grand. We're talking 1990s, 1980s, even early 2000s, whatever. He'd bring them back here to Lower Delaware. He'd have 3 or 4 of them in his garage, and he'd just fix them up, take his time, fix them up, make them look pretty, little paint, little this, little that. And an average flip, let's say he's got 5 grand in, he's selling them down here like that for 10 to 12. And that was the thing. He does that as a hobby. That's just fun for him.
Yeah.
And
Guys, real quick, that's a really good point, and that's one of the that method of flipping things and thinking about it is kind of what we're doing. So for example, we're buying things that we're buying online, and then we're selling them local to people that don't want to go shopping online for them. And a lot of times these products won't exist on a local basis. Or like if I were to sell like I had thought about buying electric cars here and then sending them to California. Nobody wants them here in Louisiana. Everybody, laughs at that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you buy in one market where there aren't buyers, and you just simply list it in another market. One of the moves I almost did once was I found a fifth wheel for like $2,500, looked like decent enough condition, and it was like 100 miles from me. So I just took those pictures and I listed it locally for 4, and I had hundreds of responses, and I didn't go through with the deal. I think the guy had already like maybe sold it or something. But I was like, dude, this would be like a hot shot route for $1,500, for a 3 or 4 hour round trip. And so people do this in Hawaii as well. It's hard for them to get, I think, motorcycles over there. And so they'll scrap together a bunch of motorcycles that they pay, let's say 2 grand or so a piece, used motorcycles. They'll ship a container to Hawaii and they will crush the game.
Yeah.
So moves like that, like how can you buy something here where it's not as popular, so you're going to get a better deal, and then get it over here where it's more successful. I mean, for example, like with phones, I could sell phones to someone in a richer city, and they could pay me probably above market, list them on Facebook Marketplace, and then make great money that way. And I have a few clients that I do that with. Okay. So let's back up. You started flipping at 13?
13,
Or
14 years old.
thinking about this kind of shit at
Oh,
13?
I started flipping. I was 14 years old. I had like one that I remember is this moped, man. It was on there. It was like $200. And I was like, I thought I'm 14 years. I'm like, dude, that'd be awesome just to ride to my buddy's house in the neighborhood. Right.
Wow.
The thought wasn't even a flip really for it. But then the guy came, was an older guy. He said it was his son's. His son moved to had left a bunch of crap that he said, Dad, just get rid of it. I don't care for it. I think he deployed or something like that. He's like, just get rid of this stuff. And the guy said $200. And I looked at it. And I'm like, for one, I want to own this to use it as a 14-year-old kid going to my buddy's house. But then I said, how much is it actually worth? And I'm like, I can sell this thing in good condition for $2,500.
Oh my God.
So I did that. I bought it.
Oh.
I rode it for a little bit. My mom rode it, ended up crashing it. Just not knowing what she was doing. It was funny. And that's why it sticks out in my head so much. Just her crashing it. But I flipped it for like $2,500. And I was like, that is ridiculous. And being 13, 14 years old, making that kind of money in no time at all with very minimal effort really opened my eyes. Because at the time I was walking around my neighborhood mowing grass to make money. You know, I always wanted money. To me, always money was like freedom. Money was a way to I could get anywhere I wanted to. Like if my parents, you know, my dad worked a lot, my mom was always busy with stuff with the family. If I wanted to go to a buddy's house, I would actually take a taxi. You know what I mean? I would pay for a ride or
Yep.
whatever. And
Right.
party to go to, whatever. Like I was 14 years old taking cabs, places. So, so like for me, I was like, money's freedom. You know, my dad would take my cell phone away, and I had 4 more in a drawer ready to go. So,
So, hold on, let me get my SIM card.
exactly, yeah, right.
No reason why. I just want to look at it.
Oh, I would, and then I got to a point. He wised up to that. I would call Cricket. Remember, they're still around, I guess. But Cricket, I would like transfer the same phone number over to just a different SIM card. I even had the little stack of SIM cards just in case. I mean, so it was just this mentality, and I realized I liked my long cutting business, just guaranteed pay on my, you know, contracts, quote unquote, right? Like with regular lawns that I did every week, I was making $600 a week. But it was a lot of work. It was a responsibility. And I realized I could do, you know, I just made over $2,000 on this one item. Barley, there's the dog. You know, so that's really what kind of opened my eyes and got me into it. And then it got to a point where
Did flip that item for a couple of grand?
Yeah, I sold that. Yeah, I sold that scooter for like $2,400, and I had fun with it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Got to watch my mom try to ride it unsuccessfully. It was hilarious. We still laugh about it. And I sold it, and it just propelled me into what else can I do this with?
Yeah. So a few things come to mind. I mean, first of all, it's badass, but like your origin story, if anyone's listening to this and your origin story is anything like that, then this thing should be clear as day, right? It's clear as day that buying and selling things is a good fit for you.
Yeah.
You didn't have to read a motivational book or, you know, take the right amount of Adderall. You just wake up, you enjoy it, and you just do it.
You got to be in it for the game.
People are looking for their passions and all this gay stuff. I'm gonna get canceled before I even get big, huh? Doing all this gay stuff, like you don't need any of that. I'm not like people act like I'm motivated. No, I just like what I'm doing, so it's easy to do. Do you like, you know, if you like playing PlayStation, no one has to say, hey, you gotta like read this motivational book to play the PlayStation. You just wake up and you do that thing.
Absolutely. You like the casino? Do you like to gamble? All right, let's say as you shouldn't gamble. It's not good. But I'm saying I like to play cards, right? Well, why would I ever go and play cards and gamble my money when I can do it with stacking the odds in my favor? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
arbitrage. It's like if you had you know, you're doing that little thing with the ball thing spinning around in circles. They had 36 spots, and if you landed on any of them except for one, then you'd win. Like that's what arbitrage is. 35 out of 36 are winning. And occasionally we lose a little bit, but we're going to go on a massive streak from there on out.
sure.
And yeah, like you said, having a buyer ahead of time, it's amazing. And then
there's a lot of businesses like that. We just don't, there's a lot of, so something that, you know, the electronics, of course, is great. And we're into it because you end up meeting this big network of people, buyers, sellers, you have regulars, of course. And then you have, you know, you have your like, you know, buyers in Africa, buyers in Hong Kong, then you have your buyers in Cali, like you have, you know, New York, whatever. But it's a safe spot for us because we know where we can liquidate, right? We know that we could, if God forbid something hit the fan or a big opportunity came up and you needed to recoup your capital, it's not really, that takes the gamble out of it, right? And that's why so many people, I think, just stay in that realm. But, you know, there are other items that you can do that with. A big one that I started to get into, watches. I have a guy that I know, I can say, like, I know what he's going to pay me for this year to this year, Submariner with, you know, with papers and with this and that. And it's just, how good are you? How good are you at negotiating with somebody? How good are you at finding the deals? How patient are you? I think too, getting into this with your own capital and without you got to be hungry, always be hungry. But I think people get scared to venture in other things when it comes to flipping because you're relying on the money and you're impatient and you think, oh, it's not going to work and it's a gamble.
Right.
But taking your time, and it is a gamble. It always is a gamble to a degree. Anything you do for yourself is a gamble.
Most educated gamble on the planet.
Yes. But getting into it with your own capital and establishing some capital to work with, you'll find that you can flip anything, just like electronics. You can flip. I have a really good friend of mine, multimillionaire. He's in a famous band and he has a lot of hobbies. I mean, he's how I met him was through electronics. He does electronics. He does guitars.
Yeah.
He got offered to play for Three Doors Down back when they were big in the early 2000s.
Wow. Nice.
The best guitar player I've ever seen to this day. Went out to Nashville and asked if any of those live performers could you play you ever heard the song Cliffs of Dover?
No, I don't think so.
It's just an incredibly hard song to learn on guitar, like the riffs and everything. Nobody could do it. Like they had their little tip jar, and I'm like, look, I'll give you $100 if you can play this song. Because my buddy told me, go up there and see. He's like, no, there's like a couple of artists that can really play the song and nail it. And he was right. But he also he does coins and
Nice.
precious metals.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's something that he makes. He went from electronics full time, making a lot of money with that. And he started off buying for me. Then I was his buyer. Then he went into the coins and the jewelry realm and like the precious metal stuff. And he said that he's doing just as good with that as he was with the phones. He also does like fireworks and all kinds of stuff. Music.
Fireworks? What?
Yeah, well, he doesn't just buy and sell. He also does shows too. But because he's in that realm, he knows, okay, I can. If I know, like, all right, Dan, like, let's say I get into the business and I'm like, all right, dude, I got a 4th of July show down here at the beach that I want to do. I need this stuff fast. Don't have to wait for shipping, whatever. He knows it, and he would sell me whatever I need at just a little bit more than he paid, or however much. We're friends, but either way, I mean, when you know what you're doing, you can buy and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
I just invested in a company that does insurance claims, for example, and he not only did I make money on the investment, I just did a hard money loan to start off with.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It made good profit on that, but then also he needed equipment. So he needed like $30,000 worth of Dell laptops, monitors, and docking stations.
Right.
I was able to call a friend of mine who has a really good connection with Dell as a company, and he's an IT guy by trade, and I paid. My buddy showed me, the guy who I invested in the company with, he showed me that he got quoted $29,000 some for this stuff. He asked if I could beat it. I said, well, here's what I can get you. I got him better stuff for $26,000, and it cost me like 22 using my buddy's corporate account. So
nice.
You know what you're doing. You can buy and sell anything, and there's always a deal to be made. I could do.
The cool thing is if a deal like that came up again, or somebody listed that type of equipment online for sale, you'd know instantly if you could turn that around. Now you know what to buy it at. You know what it'll
exactly. You learn. One time is all it takes, and you learn. I lived in a house when I moved.
Pretty much an expert after one time. Like, people get mad at people for acting like experts quickly at things. I mean, I've been doing this 4 years, so I guess like technically I'm not an expert compared to you. But it didn't take me 4 years. It didn't take me 1 year. It took me, a couple of months before I stopped making any of the mistakes that 99.99% of the time that you're going to run into. I had figured all of it out except for 0.01%.
Yep.
So, okay, continue.
Another example, and I'm just giving some examples because I know, of course, you and I, we're electronics. We get it. We know that business, and it's great. It's got its ups, its downs, like anything else, but it's great. It's solid. There's a huge network now. But a neighbor of mine, when I moved down here to the beach in 2016, I was renting this house when I tried to live here, and of course, the commute and stuff, I ended up moving back. But my neighbor, he lived in a $3 million home. I was renting this place that was worth like $1 million. You wouldn't believe the deal I got for that. I've rented it for about a year. I was paying like $2,500 a month. This is $1 million property, and I loved it. But you'd rather be home, you know what I mean? So we moved back. But either way, he literally made his fortune by buying and selling expensive, exotic, like Oriental rugs.
Ooh, yeah.
Rugs. And he would tell me, and also what he does now, he's retired now. self-employed and retired just for fun and just to make a couple extra bucks or whatever, and to help friends that he met through the business, whatever. He goes out and appraises rugs for insurance companies when there's like a house fire or or to appraise it for somebody that actually wants to insure the rug. Is it really worth $180,000 for this Persian rug? That's what he does. And he gets paid as a contractor.
Okay.
But he bought and sold rugs. I mean, he told me he's made $60,000 on one piece, or 100 and some. It's crazy.
That's so good.
It's amazing.
Out of all these people doing all these different things, who the hell do you know doing rugs? There's probably like some big players out there, people like him. But yeah, for every niche we know about and is flooded, there's another niche that is insanely simple with no competition.
Yep.
Yeah, I met a guy recently, and same thing. He was doing, I think it was rugs. I think it was like from South Africa or something. He had the market cornered on these rugs from South Africa. And then he was doing something where I think he was making coasters out of them. And he's a one-man show. He's been crushing the game for like 30 years doing this. Not a single bit of competition. He kind of just, he doesn't have to work that hard. He makes his ends meet and then some. And yeah, he's just hanging out.
Yep. And what happens is, I think, and in the progression that I started to see in my life, and things that I've been able to do to help people and inspire people and get them into the game that we're in, is invest, right? I have a really good friend of mine. His name is Shane.
Okay.
He is very experienced with small engines, like master mechanic. Really, like, he can fix any, four-wheeler, dirt bike, mower, whatever, right? Very talented with that. But due to his life, he has to have a job to pay his bills. He's got a baby, younger guy. But his passion really is ATVs. And me, myself, I've got two kids, and I got one on the way now, actually. And I'm doing electronics business, whatever. And I said, dude, I would love to get into that field, because I love going out. Like, I have jet skis and stuff. I love doing it. I don't have the time. You got the brains. You know the market better than I do.
Yep.
So I invest. So I said, look, you don't have the capital per se to do it. And if you do have the capital, you don't have the time to sit on things. I'm in no rush per se. Not rich, but I could put up some money and get us some inventory. And that's what I did. And we made a deal where, like, look, you pick it up, you inspect it, you pick it up, four-wheeler, dirt bike, whatever, you buy them, you list them, you sell them, you fix them, we split the profit. I put up all the money, though. And we 50-50 split.
Yep.
Imagine, and eventually, and of course you understand that eventually he's going to have so much money saved up that he doesn't need me anymore. I know that.
Right.
But you develop a relationship, right? And then
I want to play the game. You want to play the game. You want to be in the game. And if that means it's like a short-term deal, cool. If it means it's a long-term deal, cool. None of that matters. When you're just doing good business, none of that crap matters.
Doesn't matter. And you make a good friend out of it.
Exactly.
You make a good.
You're basically helping. You're almost like doing this as like philanthropy. You're gonna get paid to be a good person.
Bro, I have people that text me all the time, random. I mean, guys that I've dealt with, years ago, that will text me and say, I mean, just probably at least once a month, and say, Dan, I just want to say, out of nowhere, hey, bro, I just want to say, I'm so glad I met you. And, you changed my life completely. I'm doing so good. Here's what I'm doing now. And that shit, dude, you can't buy that. No money will buy you that.
Yep.
Dude, me and my wife just finished college now, and we don't have any student debt. Like, everything's paid for. I'm working for myself, and I'm doing this, and it's like, dude, that is fantastic, and I'm glad that I could help you on that journey, bro. And I know we did good business, and you made me money too. We're good, man. I'm glad. If there's anything else you get into, and here's the beautiful part: anything else you get into, let me know. I'm always open. I'm interested. So, let's do something else in the future.
Yeah.
And that's happened as well. That truly has happened as well. It's just kind of comes full circle, right? In this job of buying and selling, you don't have the rewards. Like, we're not doctors. Right. We can make doctor money. It's all about how much you want to make. We can make doctor money. We're not doctors, right? We don't get to see a patient walk out of the room cured. But
being a doctor's life hack, dude. $2,000 a day. You're locked in for $2,000 a day. for the rest of your life once you're a doctor. My brother's one.
And it's amazing. And I can't imagine what that feeling is. But there was a time there where I felt like, man, this is kind of like a self-centered thing. Like I'm just buying and selling and I'm doing these things. But you really are helping people though, right? The people along the way. Um, and then that to me, that's like the highest reward.
Yeah, you're providing a valuable service, especially if you're good for it. Like when I sell phones locally, that person knows they're getting a phone that's not going to go blacklisted. And if it does, I'm gonna have their back.
Yep.
If I didn't disclose something and it's substantial and I missed it, I will happily give them their money back. Like I am providing a high level of customer service to anyone that meets me. And yeah, that's a valuable thing. And
Oh,
then along with that, you're just enjoying your life. Like if everybody was enjoying their life, we probably wouldn't have near as many problems as we have in the
a
world.
beautiful place, man. And if everybody held to their word
Yes.
and just stuck to their values, right? If I sell you something, like me personally, like I don't, let's say you're not in the same business, you're just a customer, right? Just somebody that's buying something from me. And there's an issue, I will take care of it. No matter
Yeah.
how much money I do or don't have, whatever it is, I'm going to take care of it because I don't want to smear my name. And I also don't sleep right at night if something goes, goes astray. What I've noticed over the years, meeting people that start into this business. I mean, I've seen guys have a great run that just do really well, change their lives. But if they don't hold true to those values of paying back your debts, making things right with people, whatever it is, or being greedy. And I notice about you, one thing I like about you, Jeff, that I've seen is you're not always in it just for the dollars and cents. You definitely aren't. I've definitely seen, I think, some posts I can't recite precisely, but where you've almost taken less money, it seems, just to help somebody else out or to kind of network a little bit
Mhm.
for items that you have for sale. Uh, where I see a lot of people fail in this business, when we're again reverting back to electronics, where I've seen so many prominent good people like fail is they cut off a great relationship to get that extra $10 per device, that extra $20. I'm like, okay,
No,
you go.
I actually think that's normal. It's not
It
like
is.
I feel like that's not so bad because in this business, every 10 extra dollars you can get is
Yes, you need it now. You
valuable.
need it.
But they'll cut off a relationship because they disagree on a $50 deduction or something like
Yeah,
that.
stuff like that. And that's true
Like
too.
that. And it's like, dude, for me, if there's an issue and it's customer service based, then that's really more important than everything else because that's going to have a residual effect. And even if I have a rule for my businesses, if I think I'm right and they think that they're right, well, then I just refund them
Yeah.
because they think they're right and I say no and I think I'm right. Well, then every time my name comes up, they're gonna destroy my name every time my name comes up. And it's like an implied extortion fee that I'm okay with. And the truth is, like, depending on how egregious it is, maybe I just won't do business with them anymore, and that will cost me $50. And maybe I'll just agree to disagree. Like, I think you're wrong. Here's your 50, and then we'll just continue like it is. It's not like a passive aggressive type thing. It's just more or less like this is practical. You know, you
Yeah.
ever met someone like people love talking smack. And so it's like you ever meet someone that's just like, man, they're that person. You don't want to do them wrong because they are loud and vocal about it. Well, even so, that's like the worst end of it. But on the other end, if it just comes up in private conversation, that person is going to drag your ass through the mud. And so, um, yeah, the way like I said, whoever forgets about the other person first wins. And so if I just like don't agree, send their money back, and I just move on, it's like I forget it ever happened.
Yep. You don't let it rule your day. And I've done that a lot, man. It like
Yeah.
being younger, you learn things. Like as I'm getting older, I'm like, okay. Because I'm OCD with numbers. I think you have to be in this racket, right? In this to buy and sell and to keep track of all of these things that we have going on at once.
Yeah.
You have to be a numbers person to a
Yeah.
degree. You've got to, like your spreadsheets. Like I have a spreadsheet that I keep everything in. I know every device I've purchased, every bike I've purchased, everything. I know who I bought it
How many
from.
devices do you purchase a month?
It varies, but I'd say with electronics, I'm probably doing like 300.
Dude, all right, all right. We'll talk after this.
And I'm
I
reasonable. When I do the business, and that's what I was getting at, not just the So I hear you though. The 10 to 20 bucks is very important, right? I get in my, some of my buyers, I'll be like, look, man, I need you to do this for me. The margins are slim as this has became more saturated. The business is saturated.
Yep.
You got to make your money because there's very little to make, especially in the wholesale realm. But, I see guys where it's like, okay, I'm helping you out by teaching you things,
Yep.
by even sometimes showing up to front the deal. I haven't done that in a while, but I did in the past. And it's like, okay, now you get a little bit of money in your pocket. You find a buyer that's paying 10, 20 bucks more than me on certain devices. And you're willing to put all your time and energy into saying, okay, well, I'll sell you, Dan, these items, but I'm going to sell these ones and I'm going to ship them to this guy because of 10, 20 bucks, or I'm going to drive this much further. And I'm like, bro, just stay with a guy that you trust and that that's going to lead you in the right direction, who's not selfish and in it for the dollar signs. I don't have your contact saved in my phone as a dollar sign or as just a, I know your name, bro.
You
I
got
want
to
to
get in there like as a plus 10 on the market.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? Like you're these guys, these big buyers that you go to that I deal with, right? That I have to deal with that headache. They don't care about you. You know what I mean? Like you're small. You're and I respect you and I respect the hustle and can't wait to see you get bigger. But you gotta, you know, stick with loyalty is important, and then also, like you said, huge. I've had clients where it's like, okay, you sold me a fake pair of AirPods. And I know that obviously we should be well versed enough to not let that happen. But you're meeting one of my employees and you sold me a fake pair of AirPods. You know that I'm not going to lie to you about it. If they're fake, they're fake. Why would I try to come at you for 150 bucks? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I need you to make it right. And, I've had like one instance that sticks in my mind is this guy, Derek, known him for 6 years, done great business with him, talks to me like a friend. I talk to him like a friend. We get off the phone, say hi to the wife for me, that type of relationship, he shipped me a MacBook when he was staying out of town, and I think he was in the Colorado or something. He shipped me a MacBook and I paid him up front, which some clients need that or want that. And we didn't use PayPal. I just did a Cash App. Right. But we've done so much business and I'm like, whatever, I trust it. And turns out he didn't ship it himself. He had somebody he was buying from ship it. And it was a old ass like 2017 MacBook in a box that was a 16-inch MacBook Pro. 1,600 bucks I paid him, and the computer was worth nothing.
Right.
And to this day, due to that, haven't talked to him in 6 months. He's still doing business, I know it.
Right.
But you know what I do is I reach out to him and say, "Hey man, I know that you got duped, but it's not my problem.
It's not your problem.
At the end of the day, you owe me 1,600 bucks. Now,
Right.
me being somebody that's in business with you, I'll let you we'll take it off each deal, 200 bucks at a time, 100 bucks at a time, whatever it is. I'm reasonable. But when somebody goes and ruins a relationship over something like that, 1,600 bucks is nothing, and it's hard, I think, for people to get out of that mentality.
Yeah.
People think about the here and now, especially in the buying and selling game. You got to have some of that instant gratification in your blood to do what we do. Right. But you think about the here and now, and they look at it like, oh, okay, I don't sell a damn. Well, I can sell this guy and this guy and this guy. Okay, well, go ahead and do that. They're not going to help you. They're not going to give you advice. They're not going to talk to you like a friend or advise you on what's, like I can tell you right now, I have a graphics card in my brain right now that I can pay you more than you'll get on eBay right now. But these guys in New York aren't going to tell you that stuff. They're going to say, okay, sounds good. Here's the money. Meet here. Like, it's different.
There's like, it's not good enough. So this is like another one of my principles. It's not good enough to like, you have thing, I have money, we exchange. There's like a heart and soul behind the thing. There's time, there's pain and suffering or lack thereof. And because I know that most people will just stick you with the 1,600. Some a minority will pay you the 1,600 back. I was like, how can I go a little bit further? And the truth is, like, you spent time messaging him, you wasted time sending him that money, you wasted like some heartache, like waiting on the item, you wasted some time opening it up, finding out it isn't what it is. So it's like getting $1,600 at that point is not it's not good enough. There was time and effort that was wasted. And so the refund would look more like 1,700.
And here's the thing, these
Most
guys,
people won't accept that, but it's like, I will
get
offer
it.
that. And
I have a choice. Do I cut this guy off because he's not paying me right now? Like, do we cut these people off because they're not doing this right? And I see where you're coming from. Sometimes that is the answer.
right.
But here's what's messed up on our end as the buyer, right? And we get duped and we trust somebody, and what happens is, so not only did I lose that $1,600, I can't just let that slide, because you let it slide and it continues to happen, right? And also it's just what's right is right and what's not is not. And it's be bad practice to just let things, whatever. I mean, I'll let a little dock slide, right? If we do a lot of business, whatever. I'll say,
Right.
look, I'll break even, I'll lose a couple bucks, not a big deal.
Yeah.
But we're talking just straight up one device, 1,600, and it was gone. We got to make that right.
Yeah.
So uh what sucks is somebody does that to you. Not only do you lose your 1,600, but now 6 months of business that I would have been doing with this guy is gone. It's gone elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he probably went to another buyer when I was exclusively to somebody that he dealt with. And I'm sure maybe the guy matched my prices in the beginning. But hook, line, and sinker, what these guys do is they bring you in with a good price, and then all of a sudden the market fluctuates, as it really does in real life.
Mhm.
But what's happening with this guy, because he is smaller and not as in tune with everything, dude, he'll just eventually have to just listen to this guy, because he can't go back to me, and he
Yeah.
doesn't know the real market, right? So he's hurting himself, hurting me, and also the 1,600. It's,
Right.
naturally I want to say, oh, don't worry about the 1,600. I'll make that back in just a month of business between us, but
Right.
potentially. But yeah, man, it's rough. I think relationships are crucial in this, and I agreed, values have to be set in place.
Mhm.
Period.
Um, I get a lot of peace from like the truth is though, he could move on and then do way better because he finds who you were selling it to.
But
Like he could actually win and just be like, ha, like you suck, whatever, got you. And his life seemingly turns out better for the financial. And so it's
unlikely,
like
though,
you said, he'll
because
be
you have to have
fine.
principles. You have to have principles to do good business. That's what I'm saying. These guys always end
Yeah.
up, guys that have screwed me over in the past. I swear I find, and they'll contact me again, like, hey, bro, they're working at a job and they just so happen to come across my cousin selling this. And I'm like, oh, what's going on, bro? How have you been? And they're like, oh man, I'm sorry about what happened a couple years ago, but oh, so what are you doing? I'm working at Amazon. Okay, well, that's, to each their own. No shame in that, no judgment, but it's like, man, do you think things might have been different if you'd have kept this relationship over that $400 Samsung Galaxy S12 or S10 rather at the time? You know what I mean? Like, whatever it was, it's like, just a lot of these guys, they fail because they don't hold that moral code or that moral compass, and they think, oh, I'll just go find another buyer. Well, now
Yeah.
you're if you're
Yeah.
not if you're not in tune with your moral code and moral compass and doing the right thing, then you're ultimately going to fail. The guys that stick through it are good guys. Guys that have some years behind them, it's because they know how to operate.
Right.
I
Yeah,
believe.
the trash ends up taking itself out,
Pretty much, yeah.
Uh, like you can rest assured that things usually are going to work out in a way that sees that people get what they deserve.
And we give an opportunity, and that's why I'm like, okay, because I understand what it's like. I'm not so far gone in the world. I know what it's like to struggle and to
Hold on.
be able to pay something.
Wait. Okay. This has been a fantastic conversation. I know I'm going to run out of time. I know other people are going to run out of time.
Yeah.
I like what interests me with this call was, let's say, golf carts. That's one thing that I need a golf cart for myself, and I've let my hesitancy hold me back from getting the last 3 to 5 that I saw that made sense. Um, I think I actually have some deals that I was looking at. Give me just a second. So here it is. Bam. All right, let me send a link. Okay. I'm gonna put this in chat. You know how to get to chat?
Yep.
Shabam. One of the things I thought I would get with golf carts is if it's working condition but just needs new batteries. I've seen a ton of people selling lightly used or medium used batteries for 1/3 the price on Marketplace. Like if I was going to flip that, buying those batteries, getting working condition, get that person whatever a year or two, get them a good deal on it, make it to where I'm not paying $1,000 for new batteries. I'm paying maybe $200 or $300 for used batteries and flipping it. Is that do you advise something like that, or am I just kind of like thinking wrong there?
Well, it's kind of tough with the batteries. I would say the batteries are tough because you can have it's hard to test them really. Borrow No, I wouldn't. I would only buy used batteries from another somebody who buys and sells golf carts. I wouldn't buy them just from an individual because if
Right.
there's a reason most of the time. Um, that was USPS. So I would try to find a reputable reseller like ourselves, and in that realm of golf carts and stuff, and I would try to work out with them and say, look, here's my intentions, here's my goal. I want to buy and sell golf carts. I actually am buying one for myself right now. I will buy used batteries from you. I plan on, hopefully getting to a point where I'm buying all of your used battery or a good portion, whatever. Build the value in the relationship to get the best possible price for these batteries because everybody loves solidarity. Get the solidarity of that relationship going to where I'll buy these from you on a regular basis. Get yourself the best deal.
Yeah.
Don't go with just a Joe Schmo, I would say, because there a lot of things can go wrong with these batteries. You have to actually put distilled water in them and check them on a regular, once a month, you should be checking your golf cart batteries. And putting not filtered, not spring water, not tap water, especially distilled water. And it's up to a certain point, and people forget to do that. They let them sit and water evaporates even inside of the battery. So go with somebody that's reputable, that knows how to test them, has the equipment there to do it, and you will get a good price.
Okay.
Buying brand new batteries to flip golf carts, not smart.
Okay.
But buying nice, used, instead of paying $800, let's say for a 48-volt cart, paying like, $350, $400 for a set of like 3-year-old batteries, Trojans.
Right.
That's a good move.
Okay.
And people value that. When I purchased, I've owned myself. I'm on my 4th golf cart in my life. Because I have my little, I've actually forgot to include this in the story. After I moved back to Maryland, I ended up purchasing a little beach house down here just as a vacation home, little cottage, cheap, whatever. But I always had a golf cart, and the one thing that I always looked at when I was purchasing a golf cart for myself is, well, how old are the batteries?
Okay.
People do care about that because it's maintenance wise the most expensive component. It's like almost like the engine.
Like half of it at least,
I could get you a golf cart motor, a brand new motor that's better than the one that came from the factory for like $300-400.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I would go with a try to find a dealer. I don't know your demographic there in Louisiana. It just so happens also to be golf carts where I'm at the beach, dude, like where my beach house is. People drive the golf carts. Like there's golf cart parking at the bar, at the restaurants, and boat slips. That's how people get to and from their boat slips and stuff from their little beach house, whatever. I can buy golf carts in Louisiana. I can buy golf carts in Maryland and bring them here, and they sell for a super premium because of the demand.
Yeah, here it'd probably be a little tighter margins. It'd have to be like great. I'd probably get a better price. And that's the difference, right? I'd pay less, but I'd have to sell it for less. I'd be buying low, selling lower, I guess, or buying
Unless you
low.
can fix them up.
So what do you think of that deal?
I think it's let me analyze further. No,
I don't like the fact that they're not being very clear.
Yeah, I don't like the fact. I mean, they're easy goes. Well, actually, these might be old club cars. They look to be like. I'm not an expert on these. I'll be honest with you. They're club cars. It's a good deal for 2 carts. I mean, just for the parts alone, I would try to say, look, I'd give them like probably start off like $700, $800 and say, do you have a means to haul them away and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, look, $700. The parts alone are worth it. Restoring them could be worth it. I don't know your market. I know where I'm at. It would be worth restoring them. Tires, you can get for very cheap, $200 for all 4 nice tires. You can get bodies for cheap because the bodies just kind of just sit on there.
Yeah.
The seats, you can refurbish or just reupholster yourself, with the vinyl. It's super cheap.
Okay.
You can turn them not into, don't keep them as 2-seaters. Buy the rear seat assembly, make it a 4-seater golf cart. What my buddy did down here, he retired. It was funny. I met him. He was working part-time buying and selling golf carts. He's the guy who I bought my first and second and third cart from, actually, for myself. He bought and sold golf carts while he was a manager at a supermarket.
Yeah.
Met him in 2017, bought my first cart from him. And I slowly saw him progress from having a little shop out back of his house to moving to an industrial park and having a real garage in there.
I love it.
He retired from the supermarket.
Right.
He was like probably 50. And he was planning on retiring at 65, whatever. Ended up now retiring, and he moved to Florida, retired, but he was buying from golf courses directly. He would get like 30 carts at a time.
I've heard of people doing this. Okay. Yeah.
And he would do the work himself. He liked to do the work. That's like, he enjoyed it, and he was quick and he was good. And he knew how to be more competitive in the market. He knew the market very well, and he knew sorry.
Check out that one I just sent.
Quesadilla. Let me see.
It's like, oh, this is very important. Quesadilla.
She's like, what do you want? All right, let's see. Let's see here.
I'm listening. My computer might die in the middle of this, so I'm gonna have to run, guys. I forgot my charger. Look, we gotta end this thing.
Yeah, man. Hey, send me a
I
private
wanna make
message.
sure
We
it's
can talk more
safe.
about the deals and the golf carts and how to go. But yeah, long story short, that's another person I got to meet and had the privilege of meeting, is just somebody that became so successful in a 5-year span. He just moved last year. So what, 2023 to 17, 6-year span.
Yeah.
He was able to retire from his job at a supermarket to selling his business and the contracts that he had with all these golf courses to buy all these carts, sold hundreds of carts, put his little logo on the cart when he was done, and it says custom carts by Sean. That was his thing. And you see him all over the place, and he killed it, dude. And he's done. And he's moved to Florida. He's done.
That's amazing.
I heard he told me that in 2021 he sold, right after COVID, he had sold $2.5 million in golf carts. And his profit margin on average is like
30-40%.
30-40%. Yeah, like 40%. Not with me, but with regular clients. So think about that.
Oh yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, man.
I feel like we're gonna have to have a part 2, man. I mean, you got so
Yeah,
many
whenever you want to talk about it. If you
So-
just give me a topic and anything that adds value to what you're doing here, brother, I'd love to come back and talk about anything.
Okay. All right, guys. That's Daniel for the day. If anybody has any other questions, just ask me later. And I'm gonna end this before it all shuts down and doesn't save for some reason.
Sounds good, man. Take care, guys.
Hi, bro. Later.